Hello guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing an addition to my paranormal storytime video that I filmed previous. I am pre-recording just because I wanted to record this while these stories are still fresh in my mind and as the details are coming to me. I already kind of started to think of some things while I was filming that, so now I'm going to film this one, so I apologize that it's pre-recorded and I'm wearing the same shirt. I don't know, I'm not a decent content creator, so here we are. Anyway, so today I'm going to tell you guys about the lamp incident and a few other things that happened while I was living in my haunted childhood home. So the lamp incident is one of the most, what would I call it, like, famous things that happened in our house between our family that we all remember very, 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 very specifically. Mostly my mom and I, we were the two that were involved. My brother and my dad were not home at the time of this incident. So my mom, for whatever reason, I don't know where she got it, had this lamp. And it was one of those lamps that you had to touch it, and it would like go from off to dim to brighter to brighter to brighter to brightest, and then would shut off when you hit it after the brightest one. So you had to touch a certain part of the lamp, around the lamp shade on the metal. If you touched it, that's where you had to specifically touch it. So she had this lamp, and it was an old lamp, whatever, I don't know, it was in her bedroom, and it was usually off if she wasn't in the bedroom, but sometimes I know that she'd forget to turn it off, because if it was on the really dim setting, you might not notice it in the daylight that it's on. So, my mom sent me up to her room to get her hairbrush out of her bathroom, because her bathroom was in her bedroom. And so I went upstairs to get her brush. I realized that the lamp was on, and I was like, okay, that's kind of weird, but alright, like, she probably just left it on, like, not a big deal. I really did not think that much of it. It was like a split second of, whoa, and then I was like, yeah, no, she just left it on, it's not a big deal. So I tap, turned it off, made sure it was off, because I know that she got mad if lights were on, and I knew I was gonna get blamed if she came upstairs and it was still on. So I shut it off, I went downstairs. I want to say about, like, 20 minutes, half an hour later, she asked me to return her hairbrush to her bathroom. So I'm like, okay, hop, skip, and a jump, boo, 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 up the stairs. I go in her room, and it's on again. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of strange. But, like, again, I'm trying not to be dramatic, because there's usually an explanation for things like that. So I'm like, okay, what the hell? And at this point, I'm getting a little creeped. I am creeped out. Like, I'm starting to be creeped out by it. But whatever, I put her brush back. I'm like, boop, 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 turn it off, and I go back downstairs. And then a couple hours later, and mind you, my brother and my dad were not home during this incident, so it was literally just myself and my mom that were in the house. And about 2 or 3 hours later, she goes upstairs to her bedroom, and she calls me, and I'm like, uh-oh, like, what did I do? And I come upstairs, and she goes, why did you leave my lamp on? And I'm like, my mom was really weird about leaving lights on, so she's like, why'd you leave my lamp on? Like, you know you're supposed to shut that off. And she's like, and why did you even need the lamp if, like, you just flick on the overhead light, like, you didn't really need it? And I was like, oh. I was like, no, I shut it off when I left. And she's like, okay, because when I came in it was on. So she shut it off and was like, whatever. And I was like, okay, but when I first came in it was on. I shut it off. I was like, when I came back, it was on again. So I shut it off. And I was like, so I don't see how it was on again. And she's like, oh, okay, that's, like, actually pretty weird. And she believed me, and she should have, because she knows. Like, I would never, I don't do that. And, like, I wouldn't have a reason to lie. Like, it's not like she was, like, angry or anything. She just wanted to know why I had left it on. So she's like, okay, that's, like, really creepy. So that lamp, over the course of the 15 years we lived in the house, she had the same lamp, and it did it all the goddamn time. It would not do it for a while, and then it would do it, and then it would not for a while, and that's kind of how a lot of the stuff was. Like I mentioned in my previous video, my parents went through a divorce in that house, so there was a lot of fighting and there was a lot of negativity at certain points, and I noticed that the biggest influx of negative and harmful energy was whenever they were fighting or things were just not right. Definitely I would 100% say that the energy in that house was very not good. It was not good. During the day, you still could just feel this level of harmful energy, and I know it sounds dramatic, but you could just tell it was harmful. Not necessarily physically, just mentally. It was draining to live in that house. And a lot of people who came over felt it. My grandmother said she didn't like coming over because she could just feel this draining, negative, harmful energy coming from this house. And it's strange, but it's true. And friends, people, like my boyfriend currently, like I was dating him for 2 years while I was still living in that house. And even he was like, he doesn't believe in paranormal, like anything paranormal, and even he did not like the energy of the house. So we had that incident with the lamp, and then we had the school incident. I keep calling it like incidents, like it's such this like dramatic thing, but like there's certain particular stories that have happened that they're kind of like popular with my family. We all kind of talk about them still. So the school incident, I took the bus, and this was when I was in junior high and into high school as well. This kept happening. I took the bus, so I got up on my own, I left on my own, whatever. And I would take the bus to and from school, that's fine. So I left at 7:30 in the morning, and then my brother at this point was old enough to walk to school on his own, so he got up around this time I was leaving. I would wake him up when I was getting ready to leave and tell him he had to get up and get ready for school. So he would get up and he would leave at around, I think it was 8 o'clock? Yeah, 8 o'clock, and he would walk to school. So I remember the one day, it was, I think, like 11-ish or 11:30. It was lunch break at my school. My dad texted me. He's like, "Why the fuck are you not at school?" And I was like, "What? Like, I didn't do shit. Like, I'm at school." So I was like, I am at school." And he's like, "No, you're not. Like, don't lie to me." He's like, "I'm in my bedroom right now," because he had slept in, because I believe this was during hunting season. So during hunting season on the weekends, he slept in because he was usually up at 5 a.m. all during the week. So he had slept in, and he's like, yeah, you need to explain to me, like, why you're bullshitting me, basically. He's like, "Because I heard you walking around in the hallway outside my bedroom, and, like, it was all one, like, hallway, so, like, bedroom, bathroom, and then you go down to their bedroom. So if you were walking in that hallway, you could hear people." So he's like, "I heard you walking around." And I was like, "You didn't, because I'm at school." And I sent him a photo of me at school, and I was like, "I'm at school, I swear to God. Like, I'm here." And he's like, "Okay, well, yeah, I checked your room, you're not here." And I was like, "Is it Carter? Like, is it my brother?" And he's like, "No, he's at school. He's not home. Like, I'm the only one home." And I was like, "Okay, well, like, I'm sorry." And he's like, "Yeah, like, I'm sorry for, like, accusing you of staying home, like, skipping class, like, whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, like, it's fine, don't worry about it." I was like, "That's kind of weird, but it is what it is." So this happened multiple times. He would text me being like, "Are you home?" Or like, on days that, like, I didn't have school or something, or like I should have been at work, or I was home a bit earlier than usual, be like, "Are you home?" And I'm like, he's like, "I heard you upstairs." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. Like, I'm still where such and such." And he never really batted an eyelash when I said, like, "No, I'm not home." He kept it he was pretty calm about it, a lot more calm than I would have personally been. But then I started to notice it myself. So if I was up in my bedroom, laying in bed, because I was a teenager and I didn't want to hang out with my family because I thought I was not cool. So if I came home from work, I had a part-time job at Superstore, and I'd come home from work, or like if it was late and it was school night or a weekend or whatever, I'd be in my room, I would be watching YouTube on my iPad in bed, and my brother and I shared a wall, and my bedroom was at the very top of the stairs, like right at the top of the stairs. So when you got up the last step, my bedroom door was right there. And our stairs and our hallways were so creaky because we had carpet cleaning done when I was younger, and they actually warped the floors under the carpet, so now when we like walked, you could hear very distinctly when people were walking. So I remember laying in bed on so many occasions and hearing like like stuff like this on the wall. Like I don't know if you guys can hear that. I'm trying to mimic it. Like I would hear like someone was like swiping their hand on the wall or like lightly tapping and lightly scraping, and I'd be like, shut up. Like I think my brother was in his room and I'd yell at him because I was mean. I was mean as shit. And I would just be like, shut up, like I'm trying to go to sleep or I'm trying to watch YouTube, like don't be annoying. And then it would keep going on, so I'd get out of bed and I'd go in his room and he wouldn't be in there because he'd be in the basement with my parents on the computers. And then I'd stand there and feel like one, a jackass for being so rude, and two, like scared because I distinctly heard it. So then after that, whenever that would happen, a lot of the times too, I would hear like someone, as if someone was walking in the hallway past my door, and it was never anybody. Everyone would be in the basement. I would literally call my mom from my bedroom and be like, is anyone upstairs? She'd be like, no, we're all down here. And I'd be like, okay, bye, thanks. Like, I'm okay. So that's kind of like that was quite a common occurrence in our house. It got to the point where we all just kind of ignored it. And then after that, basically after that we ignored it. We just kind of pretended like it wasn't a thing. It was so normal at that point that you didn't really realize how not normal that was. So then we had a period of time where we didn't have any cats or dogs. We had like hamsters and stuff, but nothing that really like, you know, can like sense that kind of thing. So then we ended up having cats at some point, and his name was Sammy, and he was a little orange, or not little, he was very fat. He was a fat orange tabby, and I remember he would go down into the basement, and he would be down there by himself. Like no one else would be down there. We'd all be upstairs, and this happened on multiple occasions, and this is why I feel like it solidifies things for me, because it wasn't just like a one-off. It was a multiple reoccurring, the same situation that really kind of set it into like stone for me that this was legitimate. This stuff was not something it was coincidental. It was legitimate. So he'd go in the basement because their litter box was in the basement, and there was multiple occasions where he would fly up those goddamn basement stairs so fast. He would come up, and it was carpet stairs, but then hardwood floors at the top, and he would slide across the hardwood floors, and he'd stand there panting with his tail, like, thick, and he'd be standing there, like, panting and just, like, looking at the basement, like, absolutely frantic. And the first time it happened, we're like, like, you probably just spooked yourself. And then when it started happening every once in a while, that's when I started to realize, like, no, he's not spooking himself. No one is down there. Like, nobody is down there. So after we had not had that cat anymore, after a while, we ended up getting a dog. We got a beagle. Sweetest dog I have ever like had in my life. He is the sweetest dog. My dad still has him. He's old now, but I always felt comfortable having pets because I thought, okay, like if something's happening, they'll sense it. And like if something happened and they didn't react, I was like, okay, like obviously I'm just overreacting. But then when they did react, you really weren't so enjoying that anymore. That wasn't so fun. So I remember I was in BC with Troy's family. We were camping, and my dad and brother were home with my mom. And at this time, my mom did not work. So my dad and brother were home. This was during summer. And they were laying in the bed. They were laying in the bed, and the dog was laying in the bed with them, and my brother was like in his bed, and my dad and my mom were laying in their bed with the dog, and she said they were just chatting, and it was kind of late, and she looked over at the dog because he started to kind of rustle around, and she looks, and he's staring at their bedroom, staring at their bedroom door. And she started seeing his hackles starting to raise, and she's like, okay, like, you're fine, like, it's literally fine. She thought my brother was coming down the hallway, and then, so she's like, you're fine, like, there's nothing to be freaked out about, you're okay. And, like, when she went to touch him, he, like, got up, and was standing there, like, and now he's, like, standing on the bed, at the foot of the bed, staring at the door was open just a little bit, staring, with his hackles up, and I shit you not when I tell you, we have never, ever, ever seen that dog put his hackles up except for these two incidences. Never, ever would he put his hackles up. He was the most calm, polite, sweet dog. And then my mom said, like, my dad kind of was like, what the hell is his problem? Like, that's completely out of his character. He started growling and moving towards the door. So my dad's like, okay, like, Carter must be, like, sneaking around in the kitchen or something, like, doing something. He's freaking the dog out. So my dad opens the door, and the dog won't leave the bedroom. He will not leave the bedroom. He's just standing over my mom's feet, growling with his hackles up. And my dad's like, oh, you goof, like, go downstairs, it's fine. Would not leave the bedroom. So my dad goes and looks, my brother's passed out, like, out cold in his bed. So it's not my brother. So then the dog finally, my dad's like, get out here, like, you're fine. Brings him, and I remember mentioning, I don't know if you haven't watched my previous video, you don't know, but in my previous video I mentioned that the hallway that goes from, like, their bedroom down to go downstairs, there's a railing, and you can look down into the big open showroom that they have in the house. And then there's a fireplace, and then if you keep walking, there's another section of railing that you can look down. And he was looking down into this open room, which is just a craft area, and there's mounts and stuff in there. And my dad said he's growling and he's all upset, and he, like, focuses on one part of the wall, and then he's, like, watching the wall, like, just like as if someone's walking, like he's following somebody with his head, like turning his whole head and growling, like angry. So my dad immediately thought, because with our neighbors, there was a space between the two houses, so you could walk between the houses. So my dad immediately thought, like, holy shit, like, somebody's outside, like, walking beside the houses, or someone's trying to break in. So my dad's like, okay, you got, like, stay here, like, to my mom, stay here, don't move, I'm gonna go out there. So my dad books it outside with a baseball bat to make sure that people aren't vandalizing the house or trying to steal or break in or whatever. Nobody is outside, not a single person. So he's like, okay, like, maybe they walked through and they went about their business, like, it's fine, it's done. And my mom said it took my dog. My dad came back in, locked all the doors, whatever, and he reassured the dog. He's like, you're fine. Brought him back to bed, and my mom said he laid there staring out at their bedroom door for, like, I think she said it took him like an hour and a half, 2 hours to finally calm down, like, and just settle down and not be, like, on alert. Which, like, so out of his character, so completely out of his character. So then about, I would say 3 weeks later, I went to BC again with Troy's family. And then this time, my dad and my brother were also going to BC, but a different part of BC, for a family reunion. So my mom and the dog were home alone, which she didn't think anything of it, whatever, like, not a big deal. And I feel so bad for her. She called me, she was so upset. So she said she was laying in bed. It was late, she's laying in bed. The dog's laying at the end of the bed like usual, sleeping. All of a sudden, exact same thing. He picks his head up, he's growling at the door, he stands up, growling, hackles, the whole 9 yards. So my mom's like, fuck this, I've had enough. Like, someone must be jacking around outside and, like, causing the dog to get upset. So she, like, opens the door and goes to walk out, and the dog won't come out of the bedroom. He's literally just growling and will not come out of the bedroom. And she's like, get your, like, P-word ass downstairs. Like, you need to protect me. You're the dog. That's the point. So she drags him out of the bedroom, and he's, like, fighting her. He doesn't want to go. And she goes and walks down past my brother and I's room, and then you go down, like, 5 stairs, and there's a landing. And they're standing on the landing facing the bottom of the stairs, and he is, like, prowling pretty much and growling towards the hallway, which goes into the kitchen, which then goes into those rooms. The same incident, the same area. So she's like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? So she said she went down and turned every single light in the house on. Every single light. And the dog, like, went into that room and was just staring, like, in the same area he was the first time. And she called me and she's bawling because she's home alone. I would be too. Like, I'd leave. I'd literally fucking leave. I'd take my dog and go. I wouldn't hang around for that. So she leaves and she's like, she leaves. I don't know what I'm saying. She calls me and she's bawling, and I feel so bad for her because I can understand how she feels. Like, I feel terrible for her. And yeah, so she she basically told me what happened, and I was like, okay, well, there's obviously something, but I don't think it's someone. Because I was like, even with strangers, Booker has never ever been aggressive. He's never put his hackles up at anyone or anything ever. And it's only happening. It only has happened in this situation. And that only happened those 2 times. And then he would stare. Him and the cats both would stare and like do weird things, but never to that degree since then. And that's kind of like around the time that things were becoming like done between my parents. They had gotten divorced and then got back together and then re-split up again. So this is around the time that they split up for the second time. So there was a lot of tense energy. Definitely whenever things were tense is when things got a little more out of hand. I believe that same vacation that I was gone and my dad and brother were gone, her blow dryer turned on by itself. It was sitting on her dresser at the end, like, because she'd be sitting in her bed, and then at the end of her bed, kind of like a little ways, her dresser was sitting right there, and it turned on right in front of her face. And, yeah, so there was definitely some weird things that went on in that house. I have so many more incidents. I call them incidents because they're just like, safety. We need workplace safety. We need paranormal safety in this house. So I call them incidents all the time. I don't know why, it just makes me feel better. It's, I guess, a paranormal experience, but it's not just my experience, so that's why I like to call them incidents. So I have so many more to tell. If you guys want to see more of those, please give this a thumbs up and subscribe, and let me know in the comment section that you want to see more paranormal stories. Also in the comment section, let me know kind of what you want to see content-wise. I definitely have some beauty and makeup stuff coming, as well as more paranormal. I want to do some challenges. I kind of have a little bit of everything, but let me know if you guys have any ideas and I'll definitely check them out. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.